We are going to use Google Earth throughout the semester to examine a variety of environmental phenomena. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to download and learn a little bit about how to navigate in Google Earth. So if you just Google or if you just search for Google Earth, you'll get to the download page and you want to go ahead and say download, and goes the things that you kind of expect. And then once it finishes, go ahead and run it. By the way, we are going to be using the desktop version, so you're welcome to download this to your device of your choosing, but I do encourage you to go ahead and download it onto a desktop, because when I give you instructions, that's how the instructions are going to be, as if you were on a desktop. You'll see that it will actually automatically start, and there are some basic navigations which I encourage you to take a look at, but I'm also going to go ahead and show you some of my quick and dirty tools for navigating. The first thing you'll notice is these three tools in the corner. This one here determines how Google Earth is going to be rotated. But you can also do the same thing actually on the globe itself. So you can move the globe around, and you can see that as you move the globe around, that it then changes the navigational view. So if you want to zoom in to some place on the other side of the Earth, it tells you how it's tilted. So that's a good thing to know. Also, you'll notice that I just gave the Earth a spin, and you can do all sorts of nifty things like that with your hand. As you'd imagine, maybe this tool will take you up and down, will also take you sideways. But again, you could do some of the same things with the hand. And then the zoom, I want to show you a couple of things about the zoom. First of all, you can use the zoom button to go in and out. You can also use the wheel, if you have a wheel on your mouse, to go in and out, to zoom in and out. But be careful when you do this. Notice down here in this right-hand corner, this eye alt, which refers to the eye altitude, or the approximate altitude of what the Earth would look like. And in this particular case, we are at something like 11,000 miles above the Earth. So I'll sometimes give you instructions where I will say zoom out to about 3,000 eye altitude miles. And what you're looking for then is to put your eye altitude in that position. That's what I'm referring to. You'll also notice that as I'm moving the hand around, that the latitude and longitude is displayed of where the hand is, and that's given in degrees, minutes, and seconds. A couple of other little tips for using Google Earth: you can turn off the borders and labels over here in this layers box. Places are actually names. As you zoom in, you'll see that you get more detail. All of these other boxes pop up, and there are city names and also names of such features as mountains and lakes and things of that nature. Now I want to show you some of the search functions. So let's say that you wanted to go look at Kentucky. You can put in a name, and you'll see that it's asking you, do you want any of these things, the horse park, the exposition center? But I'm just going to say that I want Kentucky. And round Google Earth goes, and voila, it brings us to the state of Kentucky. And you'll see a bunch of these little pop-up boxes that tells you that there's something of interest there. In these cases, you can scroll over and find out what it's showing there that might be of interest. So a couple of other ways to navigate in Google Earth. It will recognize place names, so you could type in something like the Everglades. And it is pretty savvy at finding place names of lakes and regions and things of that nature. Now, sometimes if you zoom in, it's going to assume that you're looking for the national park, so it may not take you exactly where you expect to go, but it will get you in the neighborhood. Then I also want to show you that you can navigate by what are called decimal degrees. So you'll notice that the latitude and longitude is given here in degrees, minutes, and seconds. But we can also then navigate by what are called decimal degrees, which is converting this language into a single numeric character. So let's say that I give you a lab exercise and I tell you to go to negative 5.0116, comma, 37.05. And once we get there, I'll explain the difference between dec degrees and degrees, minutes, and seconds. All right, so we've zoomed around the world and we're in Africa somewhere. I'm going to zoom us out just so that we can see roughly where we are. But then I want you to compare. You'll notice that the negative sign here refers to the fact that we're in the southern hemisphere. So rather than having the letter S, which is not a numeric character, that is represented by the negative sign. Similarly, in east and west, anything east of the prime meridian is a positive number, anything west of the prime meridian, so western hemisphere longitudes are negative numbers where eastern hemisphere are positive. So I may give you a lat long like this, and that is just a decimal degree determination of the same latitude and longitude down here in the corner. So that's another way that it navigates. I'll also show you that if you have a lab assignment where I have given you something like this, you can actually select that in the lab and cut and paste. So that's a really handy feature too, that you can go back and forth between lab documents or something that I've given you. And in this case, now you'll notice that both the lat and the long here are negative numbers, which means that we are in the southern hemisphere on the western hemisphere. And you can see that the negative 4.00967 is a single numeric version of 4 degrees 34.27 seconds south. So some basic navigational tips in Google Earth. Now, back again to this eye altitude, you'll notice now that we're pretty zoomed in, we're actually at about 3,600 feet as opposed to miles. So you'll see that as we go out, as we zoom out, that it switches from feet to miles. But there are times that I want you to look at things at the very large scale, and other times that I want you to look at the small scale. So just be aware of that when I give you an instruction that is associated with an eye altitude, that's what I'm referring to there. So there's a little introduction into Google Earth, and we'll have several lessons throughout the semester where we will use this as a tool, and I encourage you to explore it and have fun with it.